Hi, everyone. Thank you for being here. Welcome to today's webinar, Breaking Through the Digital Noise, Strategies, Tactics, and Tools to Get Your Bakery Noticed Online, brought to you by Dawn. Thank you, everyone, for joining us and taking time out of your very busy schedules to be with us here today. My name is Marissa Sertichvili, RBA's Education and Certification Director. For those who aren't familiar with the Retail Bakers of America, we are a national nonprofit membership-based trade association for retail bakeries. We offer education, networking, and community for bakers across the country. I am so excited to be here today with Jennifer LaPaz, the Senior Director of Marketing, Communication, and Events at Dawn. Jennifer has 20 plus years experience in the food industry and has developed a deep understanding for Dawn's customers. She has a passion for partnering with bakeries through relevant communication and delivering a positive customer experience. Thank you so much for being with us here today, Jennifer. We're excited for all of the great information that you're going to share.
Thank you, Marissa. I'm very excited to join everyone. Not sure if any of you are customers of Dawn, but Dawn has been in the industry for a long time. And one of the great things about my job working in marketing is I get to meet all kinds of really interesting bakeries and really help people kind of across the country. One of the things we always talk about is being a partner. We started as bakers, so we understand. We really truly want to be that person to help. So very excited to be here and share some knowledge with the bakers that are joining. So to get started, I was going to share a little video. It's about 8 minutes long, so bear with me as you kind of watch the video, and then we'll open it up for questions and answers. We have a lot of commonly asked questions and answers that we can talk through as well, but I'll start the video here in just a second.
Did you know that the average user spends 2 hours and 15 minutes a day on social media? That's a lot of time. That's why it's really important for us as bakers to think about our presence online. I'm Jenny LaPaz with Dawn Foods. I'm the Senior Director of Marketing, Communications, and Events, and I'm here today to talk about breaking through the noise, creating those digital strategies and tactics and tools for your bakery. There's a lot of noise out there. For every minute of the day, about 6 million people are conducting Google searches. There's 167 million videos watched on TikTok, and 2 million people are active on Facebook. People are using their digital tools all the time. That's why it's really important as a bakery to think about creating a frictionless experience. If you haven't heard that term before, what that means is making it easy for your customers, eliminating anything that makes it very difficult, especially important in the digital environment. Think about your average consumer. They're on their phone, they're getting on a Google search, they're like, maybe I want a donut. So they pull out their phone, they're looking on Google, and what they want to be able to do is very easily find your bakery, look it up. What are your hours? Where are you located? What kind of things do you offer? If they easily find that information, they stop in, they get their donuts, they leave as a happy customer. That's what creating a frictionless experience is all about. So first, we're going to talk about building that strong online foundation. And part of that is your website. Part of that is about setting up your Google profile. It's really important to set up that online foundation because you want to drive your brand awareness and affinity, drive loyalty, and ultimately gain sales for yourself. So first, we're going to talk about your website. Your website is really important to have what we call the 5-second rule. So in 5 seconds, people should be able to know what you do, where you're located, and how to buy from you. They need it to be very easy and seamless. Keep it simple, very easy to navigate. Make sure you're using high quality photos. You want people to just savor over coming in and buying those items from you. And make sure, very importantly, that your information is updated. They need to know that the hours are correct, the location, and what you sell is correct. And really importantly for your website, you need to make sure it's a great mobile experience. 60% of people are looking at it on their mobile device. You want that friction to be completely gone. You want them to easily be able to find that information, even when they're using their phone. The next thing about your foundation we want to talk about is your Google business profile. It's really important to update your Google profile. If you remember, we said that every minute there are 6 million searches happening on Google. So you need to have that right to make it easy for customers. Your Google business profile will have your hours, your location, and it'll even include reviews from your customers. For your profile, you'll need to, number one, claim it, claim your business, make sure everything's right. Number two, you're gonna personalize it. That's where you're gonna add in photos, maybe use some of your menu items, make it easy for people to understand what you offer. And then the third thing is manage it. If things change, that's okay. You change an hour, change a phone number, you're just gonna update it on your profile. You wanna be as detailed as possible. You wanna make sure you have some great photos. And you wanna do updates regularly. Now let's talk reviews. The other benefit of using your Google profile is that you can have reviews. While that may be a little bit scary because you never know what you're gonna get, it's really important. The more Google reviews you get, the better you'll turn up in search results. So you'll hear in the world of marketing, SEO, it stands for search engine optimization. You want to make sure that when somebody gets on their phone during those 6 million Google searches, that your bakery pops to the top. So for reviews, we know that it can be a little bit scary. Talked about that. But it's really important. It shows your human side. You're talking to everyone when you respond to a review, whether it's good or bad. It really shows that you care. And reminder, it really helps with that SEO or that search engine optimization. Stay calm. A few tips when you're responding. Keep a cool head. Definitely personalize your message. Make it feel like it's coming directly from you. It's not a standard answer. Sometimes you may need to apologize and acknowledge that something happened. That's okay. It humanizes it. And always ask for a second chance. The other important thing for your business when you're thinking about breaking through the digital noise is your social. Social is really important. There's 4.8 billion profiles on social, and most people use an average of 6 or more different social sites. There's things like Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat. All of those things are your social tools that you can use. What we suggest is to build a really strong brand relationship and start with just a few. So we're gonna talk a little bit about TikTok, Facebook, and Instagram. Those are gonna be your lead 3. TikTok now has more traffic than Google. It really is a platform that a lot of people are on. It certainly goes to the younger demographic, which may be somebody in your audience. And TikTok is a really great platform when you're thinking about using it for videos. It's very visual, they're quick hits, and you can engage with your audience. And bakers are doing it. We have some really great examples. One bakery, TSP Baking Company in Las Vegas, posts every single day. She has 142,000 followers that get on and watch her videos talking about what products she has, what the specials are, and even just the things that she's up to. It's not as complicated as you may think. TikTok is a great way to engage with your audience. Now, when we think about Facebook, it's been around a bit longer, and Facebook has really transitioned to be more visual. Photos, videos, very delicious things you can show on your Facebook profile. Video continues to grow, and that's where we see the most engagement. Messenger is also becoming very prominent with Facebook. It's an easy way for your audience to send you a direct message. Hey, what's the special today? Hey, do you have this in stock? And responding to those messages are very easy. We see bakers doing this all the time. Very visual, delicious posts that they're posting. A few good examples are 50 Donut Co. in Florida and So Delish, which is a bakery in Michigan. Instagram, a little bit different. It's all about standing out. Instagram has become a place where there's a lot of engagement, showing things like your process. A few things to consider when you're thinking about Instagram. Is this post likely to be liked or commented on? Would somebody want to come back and watch it again? Are there links that help somebody continue in the journey? For all of those social media platforms, content is very important. Content can come from anywhere. It can be things like showing your process, how you're making things. Maybe you're talking about your limited time offerings. FOMO is still real. People have that fear of missing out and they will stop by to pick that up. It may be as simple as meeting your team. Product images are always something that's helpful on social media. And you can also use that as a way to get input from your community. What things are they looking for? What flavors are they looking forward to? When we're planning our social media, we need to be very thoughtful. So we've talked about there's a lot of noise. We know that people are on their social media 2 hours and 15 minutes a day. And there's 6 million Google searches happening every minute. So as you plan things out, try to create that frictionless experience. Make it very easy for your customers. This is a great way to connect with them. Thank you.
Hi, Jennifer. Thank you so much for that great video. And I'm sure everyone has lots of questions. There's a lot of information in there, and I know a lot of it can be expanded on. So, this is a great time if you have questions for any of our attendees. We really want this to be guided by what you all want to know and what is relevant to your businesses. So please feel free to jump in the chat or the Q&A and ask Jennifer your questions. We have an expert here to help guide you. So please take advantage, I would just like to know, I know one of the questions that comes up a lot are tools that you can use if you're building your own website. So what are some tools that people can utilize when they are looking to build a website?
It's a really common question that we hear. There's a lot of different tools and builders. There are a few that we have had some experience with. One of them is called Wix, Shopify, and then Squarespace. Those are a few of them. You may also have heard of GoDaddy. These are just sites that'll make it a lot easier. They kind of have a standard template. And the other question we get is, what if I don't have the resources? Like, how do I, actually start? Where do I get this stuff from? And, there's a lot of great suggestions. Sometimes, if you have employees or younger employees, universities or colleges, even sometimes high schools will have some classes where they'll be willing to, lend a student to do, a project for you or some kind of like free internship. Even asking in your community. Sometimes there are some people you can see that are great influencers. They have great websites. They can really provide some guidance on building those websites.
Thank you. Kirk has a question here, and he's asking, are you aware of any programs or apps that allow you to schedule posts and updates across the platforms in one central location? Because it can become a lot if you have, TikTok and Instagram. So yeah,
it absolutely can. So the program that we use here at Dawn, which I would highly recommend, is called Octopost. And we can type that in. I'll type that in a minute so you can see. But the way that works is it pulls in all of your social media platforms into one program. And then you can very easily put in your content. You can copy and adjust it to, platform to platform. And you can schedule out the time, the day. You can have it scheduled out for, a whole week or whole month worth of posts, include, videos, images, all those kind of things in that one platform. Another one that I've seen people use is also Hootsuite. So those are two, Octopost and Hootsuite. And Octopost is the one that we use here. I'll type it in there so you can see the name of it.
I know a lot of people are really focused on, a lot of businesses are focused on followers, like how many followers do I need to be relevant, to get my messaging out there? Do you have some insight on that?
Yeah, so having followers is a good thing, but there's not really a magic number. I mean, there's not like hey, you need 1 million followers or you need, some 100,000 followers. What's really important is to make sure that you're getting the engagement from the people that are following you. So even if you have, let's say 50 followers or 50 people that see a post, if all 50 of those people decide to walk into your bakery and buy something because they've seen that post in a day, that's really meaningful. So I would say really focusing on what is the content and the engagement you're getting. Are people, liking things? Are they commenting? Are they asking questions? Are they interacting with you? That will really be more of a telltale sign than, the actual number of followers you have.
Do you have any advice on how to make posts more engaging, that people are responding and interacting with?
Yeah, it really depends on the platform. All of the platforms are very, very visual now. So the more you can use, whether it's photographs of items, or even if you have quick videos of items, those tend to get more engagement from customers. They love to see anything that really highlights product. Talking about flavor, talking about what may be a limited time offer. Those are the types of posts that tend to create more engagement. Things where you're seeing, a lot of text, very text heavy, those tend to get less engagement. And then one of the other things that we see is, depending on the time of day, we kind of do a little bit of testing and see what works better. We've found that for us, posting at about 9 or 10 a.m. In the morning, and then we do around noon, and we try to schedule it out because we have, presence across the U.S., so across time zones. That's when we tend to get the most engagement. When we post later in the evening or earlier in the morning, it doesn't seem to get as many views and as much engagement. So I think testing some of that for your bakery, just kind of seeing what works, trying different times will really also help to get you kind of that magic spot, when you should be posting.
Is there a magic amount that you should be posting? Frequency?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the algorithms now that are out there for, making sure that you're actually showing up in somebody's feed without having to pay for that engagement, is really based on frequency and engagement that you're getting. So the more often that you are able to post, the better. Daily would probably be like best class, but sometimes that's not possible. Sometimes people are busy, they don't necessarily have somebody who's going to be, assigned to do that on a regular basis. So at least every other day it would be a recommendation in terms of posting. Now, if you get a tool like Octopost or Hootsuite that you're using, it's easier to just, kind of schedule them out for the week. So you're not having to think about, every day going in there and posting.
We have another question in the chat. And is there a specific tool you're using to calculate engagement during specific times, or is it something you're just kind of going in and monitoring?
Yeah, part of it is monitoring, within each of the platforms, they have different metrics that you can see. So you can see, engagement rate, you can see how many people are liking or following. If you have a video, you can see, how many views you're getting. You can see, how number of comments. So a little bit of it is kind of you looking at it yourself. But then there also are some metrics that you can look at within each of the platforms.
Thank you. I thought it was interesting in the video you talked about the growth of like, a messenger and those sorts of texting, messaging with customers. Can you talk a little bit more about that, and should businesses consider doing more of that?
Yeah, I think it's something that's become almost a norm for people, right? They are getting, I know I personally, I get, messages from the doctor's office and the post office and, things like that. You opt into text messages all the time. And it's just, we're so connected with our mobile devices that it's a very easy, quick way to communicate. Messenger is a great one because if they're already on, Facebook or Instagram and they're looking at something, they're seeing something, they want to engage with you. It's a really quick and easy way for them to be able to send a message. The only watch out is make sure you have somebody available to monitor that. People are, when they're using those type of tools, are typically looking for a quick answer. They want to know, hey, if I stop by, are you going to have that delicious cinnamon roll or that delicious donut that I'm seeing on your site? Hey, I want to, plan for an occasion and I want to make sure that you're going to be able to support this. They're looking for, an answer that's going to happen, sometimes within minutes or hours. So if you don't have somebody who is able to answer that as frequently, you can set up, message that can say things like, I'll get back to you when I can, or, call the bakery if that's more convenient. So I would say use it, but you got to be smart about it.
Sure. You had mentioned, we have a question here. I'll get to Sally's question. Do you have any advice on getting your website out there and noticed by your customer base? So actually getting your website noticed.
Yeah, I think there's a couple of things, we talked about in the video, the Google profile. A lot of people are searching for businesses based on Google. So making sure that you have your Google profile set up, making sure your website is linked within there, that's going to be really important because that's going to be a big search tool that people use. People are also using social media nowadays for searching. So if you have, let's say at Facebook as the platform, a Facebook profile set up, linking your website to that profile will be really important to get it out there. And certainly you can do lots of things in store too for your current customers. Once you launch something, making sure that they're very aware that you have a website that they can go on there and see, whatever you have, if you have, specials posted or menu items, or even if it's just, talking about what's coming up in the near future. Those are just some ideas.
Great, thank you.
Yeah.
You had mentioned before this idea of influencers, and I feel like that's a huge buzzword now. Influencers are everywhere. They're all over social media. Would you recommend businesses pairing up with an influencer? And I don't even know, how does that even work?
Yeah. So we've seen some interesting things with influencers. When it works really well. So if you can get somebody who has a large following in your, local community, that tends to work really well. And usually you can work with influencers to talk about your product by paying them either very small nominal amounts or even just with free product. A lot of people, if you're going to give them free product and say, hey, I would love you to promote this, I'd love you to talk about it, we'll go on and kind of share that with their fan base as well and try to get some things behind it. It's a little tricky to identify them. It's not like you're going to go out and find a big celebrity to be your influencer that's going to talk about it. Some of it is just about knowing your community and being active in your own community and understanding who some of those people that are out there. They might be from other businesses, or they might just be, people in the community that you can reach out to. Especially in the last, I would say 5 to 10 years, there's been a big push to supporting local. And so I think that that's something really, people are more willing to do now. If you find people who are in your community willing to support your business and kind of grow your business with you.
You had mentioned like TikTok, Instagram, all the different platforms. Would you say that businesses have to be on all of them, or how do they determine what platforms to choose?
Yeah, I would say, there's a lot of platforms. So those are 3 of the ones that we see the most engagement, the biggest audience is on. I would say, you definitely do not have to be on all of them. It really takes some effort to do that, unless you're going to maybe get, something that we talked about like Octopost or Hootsuite that's going to really help you as a tool. If you aren't there yet, and you might not be, and you may never be, I would say start out small. Platform by platform has advantages. So Facebook is a platform that, if you're not on that one, that would be the number one I would suggest. That is a place where people are going and searching. Almost everybody is on Facebook in some capacity, and it kind of crosses generations. Facebook is a pretty easy, platform to set up a profile and be able to post and monitor on a regular basis. Beyond that, then I would say, Instagram is a very visual space. Instagram can be a really nice space if you have the ability to take some really nice photographs or even videos. Now, if you maybe aren't quite there yet, then maybe Instagram isn't, the right place for you, because it's not really about words and, those kind of things. It's definitely more that visual space. Platforms like TikTok, they certainly are, skewing more towards the younger generation. But again, you have to have that capability or have, the resources. Maybe you're, you have somebody younger on staff, or you can reach out to, a local school or community to help you with creating that content, because that's going to take a little bit longer to do.
And when you're developing your content, what are the types of content that you would recommend?
Yeah, that's a great question. One of the main types of content that we see really good engagement with is recipes, posting recipes, and not necessarily like the full recipe, but here's the item, here's what we're sharing, here's what we're going to have, and the descriptive words around it, whether it's what the actual item is, or even kind of what it's made up of. That tends to be really, really engaging for people. On Instagram, we see a lot with videos as well. On Instagram, there is also, this ability to put carousels where you can take multiple pictures. There's some limitations to that as well. You can only have 10 images per carousel. So you have to be very thoughtful about kind of what you're putting out there. And then there's tools too to help you with content. So when you're developing content, Even if you aren't maybe, the best writer in the world, there's tools like Grammarly, which is one that can help with really making the right tone, the right language. You're probably only going to have a sentence on there at most, but making sure it's engaging and that people are really going to want to interact with it is really important.
Perfect. Would you say that with all of these tools, social media is something that can be managed internally, or is it something that, you can delegate to somebody? And what
Mhm.
are the pros and cons of that?
Yeah, and I think it's a little bit dependent on, the business size and the business type, business maturity. Some of our smaller bakeries that have a smaller staff tend to struggle a little bit with being able to manage it because you have so many things going on in the bakery, just to get the products and to serve your customers every day. So sometimes it's easier to kind of push it off and have, somebody else handle that for you. Some suggestions, like we said earlier, high school students, college students, even family members that might be willing to help manage that can be something that can work. Larger bakeries, we see sometimes they might even have a marketing person on staff that is really running their social media, running any promotions, anything that they're doing. And that person tends to have a little bit more capacity to, go on there posting. One of the things we haven't talked about a lot is community management. You're going to get a lot of, likes and dislikes and comments and things. And you're going to want to make sure that somebody is assigned to managing that. Somebody is looking after if they email you a question or if they send you a message on Messenger, or if you have a phone number and, they can call in and respond to that. So as a bigger bakery, it tends to be, there is somebody on staff that can do it. There's always, options for agencies. They tend to be a little bit outside of the price range often of most of our bakery customers. But that's certainly something that, you really grow, you can certainly look into for sure.
In your video, you touched on keeping a level head when responding to comments. Of course, not everyone is going to post positive things, no matter what we do. There's always going to
Mhm.
be, someone that's unhappy every once in a while. I think that's really important to elaborate on that, and some kind of responses you'd recommend, and how to handle those situations.
Yeah, it's tricky, right? Like you said, like you never are going to get just the positives. You're always going to get sometimes where somebody's a little bit upset, whether it's a situation that happened or an experience that they had. And some of it is taking a moment to take a step back. And when you do respond, it's really important that you do respond, number one. But when you do respond, really keeping it very objective, trying to not ruin that relationship. And remember that everybody's going to see your response. Now, there may be some instances where you need to take it offline. Like we have, even here at Dawn, we sometimes have it where people are just very upset with us and they continue to comment, and then we need to take it offline. And there are ways to do that to, message them directly. If they are a current or a past customer, trying to find a phone number or an email to, have a conversation with them offline. And so those are always options. But really, when you're thinking about responding, know that everybody's going to see it. So you need to make sure, like you said, keep that level head, make it a very positive experience. And sometimes, things happen. Like we're all human, right? Sometimes we just have to apologize and say, hey, we had a bad day. I'm sorry. Like, try us again, please. It was just one bad experience. I'd love to, have you come back and try us again.
Yeah, I like that idea of inviting people back to try again, to have another experience,
Mhm.
with your business. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you see any trends right now in social media, things that people should be trying out?
Yeah.
Forms.
One of the interesting things that we've seen from a trend perspective is, especially if you're on TikTok and Instagram, where it's a little bit more of that visual platform and you're seeing more video, is interesting like sounds and musics in the background that are popping up, and then those are trending. And it tends to be once like they trend, people start to kind of latch onto that, sorry, wrong word, latch onto that and then want to follow it. So that's something we're seeing really interesting. We also see a lot of trends with just showing the behind the scenes. Like people love that, like peek behind the curtain. And so showing, how do you make something? How does something come to be? People will sit there and watch forever, like something that's like mixing in the bowl, somebody decorating, whether it's, donuts or a cake or cupcakes. So those are some things that are fairly easy in terms of creating the content. If you have a nicer iPhone or even some of the Android phones that have those really nice cameras, you can capture that content pretty easily on a phone. Edit it down to, 4 to 10 seconds and post it. And it's quite mesmerizing for people.
Absolutely. I want to circle back to search engine optimization because I think that's a huge topic with websites. You'd mentioned Google and responding to those posts. What are some other ways that people can optimize searches and bring new traffic?
Yeah.
Their posts and websites.
So some of it is about, your level of engagement. So some of the algorithms that the Google and others use is based on, how often you're posting, how often people are commenting and responding to things. Are you getting those levels of engagement? So then you will actually pop higher in terms of the search engine. Other things, and I think somebody here commented on it, is really optimizing your website. Using terms that are the most common and most often searched terms, to making sure that you have those very easily and prevalent on your site. Those are going to be really important as well.
So someone who's not a computer person at all, when you say optimizing your words, any words you're typing into your website, you mean?
Yes. Yep. So like if somebody were to actually look for, I'm making this up, but like Valentine's cupcakes, and that was, especially during the time of year, making sure that you have those words present on your website so that if they're searching, Valentine's cupcakes, that your website is going to, pull up in terms of the search engine.
And what about like having QR codes available too? I feel like QR codes now are everywhere. Is that something people should be introducing into their bakeries? And how does that work?
Yeah, so we've seen a lot of engagement with QR codes. It kind of started a while ago, went away a little bit, and then during COVID, you kind of saw it with a lot with like menus and other things. So the good thing is most people now know what a QR code is and they know how to use it. So being very smart about how you use those QR codes is going to be really important. We use QR codes a lot of times on things that are printed, or if we have like an actual physical presence, so that somebody can find more information. So if somebody wants to look up, whether it's the ingredients in something, or they want to look up, details on a promotion, a recipe, those kind of things. If somebody mentioned, how do you get your website noticed and how do you, send your customers there? Having your website linked directly from a QR code that's present in your physical shop, that potentially, you put in, if there's local newspaper, or, you have business cards that you're sending out to people, that's a really easy way for somebody to pop in instead of having to type in www. Whatever your website is. They just have to, click on that QR code and it takes them right there. So we've seen a lot of engagement. If you get more advanced with QR codes, there is also ways that you can link those to Google Analytics, so you can track what's actually happening. So you can see, how are people engaging? How are people coming in and finding out about my website or my promotion or that kind of thing? So there's definitely some benefits to having that digital side of it with that QR code. You can even get more data behind it.
Okay. Do you have any advice in terms of, like, I know right now you constantly are seeing special days celebrated on Instagram, whether it's or Facebook, whether it's like National Pet Day or like there's a holiday every day. Have you seen success with those kinds of posts as well? I know you said recipes were highly successful, with personal stories and staff. And what about that trend?
Oh yeah, that's a big trend. It's actually one of the things that, we're focusing on next year to try to tell all of our customers is that we call them holidays. So, I mean, every day is a holiday. There is a reason to celebrate every day of the year. Some of them are more obscure than others. Some of them are really fun, like, Veterans Day, just passed. That was a big holiday, in order to celebrate and, share with others. We see a lot of engagement and a lot of, fun that people have. It could just be, a special of the day, giving people a reason to come in and purchase something. And then sometimes maybe it's, making a whole event out of it. We, as an example, in June, we have National Donut Day. So, we try to really push and promote that and help bakeries celebrate that. That's a really, really big one. But there's all of these smaller little holidays that people can take advantage of, and people love it.
Also, the RBA's National Bakery Day always in September too. So
Yeah,
never want
I
to
know that
forget
one
that
just
one
passed.
also. Yeah.
That one was awesome.
Yep,
Yeah.
absolutely. I think one of the beauties, you talked about telling your story, and I think as retail bakers, we really have an advantage there because typically there's smaller operations, either one location, 2, 3, but there's a lot of humanness and tied to community that retail bakeries have. You had talked about, going into the community and finding influencers within the community and understanding your audience that way. So I think, we do have an advantage here with social media in terms of being retail bakers.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I mentioned, that trend towards supporting local businesses and local communities, it's been around for, quite a while now. And I think it just continues to strengthen over time. We see more and more engagement from a local perspective than you ever really do at, a much larger scale.
Thank you so much, Jennifer. Does anyone
Yeah.
have any questions? Anyone have questions for Jennifer here? We've had some great conversation, a lot of good information. There's so much to think about here. It feels, I think overwhelming at times managing all of the different platforms, and it's constant, right? Keeping up. So there's a lot of good advice you offered today to do that, whether it's the Octopost or Hootsuite, ways to sort of simplify social media and optimizing your online presence.
Yeah. One thing I would say, as people are thinking is, it can be a little bit, like you said, overwhelmed. There's a lot of different places and a lot of different things to do. But rely on your partners, partners like Dawn, and the RBA and other places. They have experts and they have people that really can help, even if it's anything from a simple question to something a little bit more complex. For me, I know that in order for me to do well in my job, all of the retail bakers have to do well. They have to succeed and they have to, be growing their businesses. So, even those small little conversations can make a big difference. So definitely rely on those industry partners that you work with on a regular basis.
Thank you, Jennifer.
Yeah.
Well, if we don't have any more questions here, I think we can wrap up. But thank you so much again. This is fantastic information. Is there any way that you'd like people to best get in touch or ask questions? They can either reach out to me. I'll put my email in the chat.
Yeah, absolutely.
retailbakersofamerica.org.
That's probably the easiest way. And then maybe you can get them in touch with me. They can certainly reach out on our social media, on our, Facebook or Instagram or LinkedIn. But we're happy to have a conversation, whether it's me or somebody else from the marketing team at any point.
Thank you so much. And thank you again for everyone being here. Make sure you check out the RBA events page, retailbakersofamerica.org. There's an events tab there to check out all of our upcoming content. If you do have any questions for Jennifer, again, reach out to my email, marissa@retailbakersofamerica.org, and I'll be happy to relay those questions. And have a great day, everyone. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ashley, and thank you again, Dawn.